come with me and Pappy as we get ready for our road trip from North Carolina back to Kentucky. Now, because you can't really depend on GPS to help you with the situation that is going on in North Carolina, I bought maps and atlases. I was gonna hold like a huge unboxing for this. I usually have maps at home, and I had them in my Vanagon when I had a Vanagon, but that Vanagon was lost to me. That's a long story, and I actually stopped using my atlases and maps. So I have the Rand McNally Road Atlas. And you see it says plan your next adventure. And the reason why this is so important, this is for all of America, and the reason why this is so important, and yes, I do know how to read a map. I know a lot of kids do not know how to read a map, but I am not a kid, so I do know how to read a map. I've driven through almost every state in our union, but I started using the GPS maps on my phone that I'm using right now. Here's the state map of North Carolina. I always knew that maps were necessary no matter what directions you could get on your phone, because there are certain times when my directions would just cut out going through the mountains because I had no signal. And now things have been made worse because I-40 is out between Asheville and Knoxville, which that's the way I used to go to Kentucky. So not only am I using these maps, but I'm going to AAA, and this is not sponsored. I'm going to AAA because usually they're the only ones who really know on the ground what road not to take, because a lot of the roads west of Durham, or actually Charlotte, have been compromised. So we are now sullying forth, me and Pappy, to go to AAA. I have not been inside the AAA buildings for like many years. So Pappy and I are now at AAA, and we're about to go in. I'm gonna have to... Okay, I came here on the wrong day because their travel agency part is closed. This is the weekend, and I'm leaving before they open again. So the agent who was here for other purposes, because AAA handles a lot of things, looked at the map. And he said the way to Huntington, through Huntington to Kentucky is clear, which is, I knew that was the way I was going to have to go, but I was trying to make sure I avoided that one road that I didn't want to take. But he said it's clear and it's safe on the map that he has. Not, AAA is not working with, you know, the GPS in the maps that we have. They usually have like all of the hazards that have happened, all of the road work that's going on, and that's why you get a triptych, so that you can avoid certain things that your phone or your map wouldn't actually have on it, because it's new information. So that's why you use AAA. I will have to update later, because when I get back home to Kentucky, I will actually make an appointment with a travel agent and get the triptych that I'm going to need, because this is going to be going on for a year. We're going to be cut off between North Carolina and Tennessee, i.e. Kentucky for me, on 40 for well over a year. And this is not great news because usually we could stop and see one of our places in Harlan, Kentucky and check on it and work on it if we need to, and then go back to North Carolina, Louisville to Lexington to Harlan to North Carolina. And we're not going to be able to do that. Now, if we go to Harlan, it's just a one-way trip. Unless I figure out a way to make it from Harlan to North Carolina without using 40. Just to give you guys some more pointers, because I thought of some other problems that might come up. If you don't have your map yet, or you don't have that extra sense of security when going through the mountains or a place that might have a dead zone, if I were you, before I start your trip, I would hit the record button for your screen. You know how you can record things on your phone that's on your screen? I would hit that record button. I would go through the for me it's Surrey because I have an iPhone. I would go through the map section of Surrey. I would put my directions in, and I would just record going through the screen, going through that little blue mark that goes up and down and around. I record all of that to where it ends, so that if something happens, at least you can get to the recording on your phone. And of course, if your phone goes out because you lost power or battery or something like that, and you don't have what you need to charge your phone, that's what the map is also for. Also, I would practice choosing key cities to put in instead of your actual destination, because a lot of times Surrey will start redirecting you on a path that you don't want to go. So me and my sisters started this trick a long time ago. Instead of saying we wanted to go from Louisville to Durham, because there were 3 ways to get there, we would say no, from Louisville to Asheville, North Carolina, and then we would go Asheville to Durham. That way we could go 40 because it kept directing us to Huntington. But now I do need to go Huntington and not Asheville. So I am going to put in on my maps on here Huntington, directions to Huntington, so that it won't direct me a different way. And then when I get to Huntington, well, I actually know how to get home from Huntington because it's just 64 all the way. But, let's say I didn't know how to get home. I would say Huntington to Louisville. And, but it's just 64 all the way. So, but literally, if you're doing long trips in America, all of you foreigners who come here who thought you would want to do a road trip and didn't know how big our country is, you're going to need a map. Or you would also go to AAA and get a TripTik, and you'll need an appointment for that. I would literally videotape my trip just in case your GPS drops out. You at least have a videotape to pick up where the GPS isn't working. And I would pick different cities along the way to also have directions to, just in case your GPS decides to redirect you in a way you don't want to go. And like I said, I will be following up and going to AAA and getting a TripTik when I get home to Kentucky.